Let's start by considering that we have come into this life with a precious human rebirth. In addition to that, we have met the teachings of the conqueror, Buddha Shakyamuni, and then we had the excellent fortune of meeting a fully qualified teacher who has the full list of qualities and have the opportunity to attend those Lam Rim teachings. So having all those things coming together in this life, it's an extremely rare opportunity and a great fortune. There are many millions of humans in this earth. However, not all of them are interested in studying Buddhism. And even those who are interested in studying Buddhism, they don't always have all the favorable conditions for doing this. There are many people who want to study Buddhism, but they don't have the time to do it, or they don't have the good fortune to meet and connect with a teacher. So there are a lot of people who are missing out on the Buddhist teachings. So Geshe gave an example of my case, how like the conditions that had to come together for me to become a translator, right? So I had to have interest in the Buddhist Dharma. I had to go to India. I had to go to Dharamsala. I have to receive teachings there and training and so forth. And all of these things were possible in my case because I must have had some connection with the Buddhist teachings in my previous life. I must have had some imprints. And when all these things, favorable conditions come together, then you can end up with a result of someone who can study enough and become a translator. Anyway, the important thing is that we have come into this life with a precious human rebirth, and we have this opportunity to study now. So we should make every effort not to waste this present precious human rebirth and put it into best use by listening, which is studying, reflecting, and meditating on these teachings. So we see that our teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, and then following him, incredible masters and scholars came into this world, first of all in India, but also in China. And they came into this world having accumulated an incredible amount of merit. They manifested the aspect of the emanation body, and with their mind having realization of Dharma, and with these emanation bodies, they came into this world in order to benefit us. So we are the ones who are left cycling, going over again and again in samsara due to our karma and afflictions. Out of their great compassion, in order to benefit us, they came into this world and they gave teachings. We remain cycling within samsara due to our attachment, our hatred, our ignorance, all our afflictions. So it is very important that once they came and they gave those teachings, just for our sake, it's important that we rely upon a teacher. We study those teachings, we meditate, we reflect on them in order to overcome all of our afflictions and our self-cherishing, our self-grasping, and so forth. Those things can only be eliminated through following the path, through relying on the path, the Buddhist path. There is no scientist, there is no doctor, no matter how specialized, no matter how advanced the technology is, that can actually physically eliminate our karma and afflictions. So even if you have someone who is a top heart specialist, let's say, and they know very well the physiology of the heart and so forth, they can do nothing to eliminate our afflictions. So you see that it is actually the afflictions that cause havoc in the world. It is someone's self-cherishing, it is someone's self-grasping, it's someone's attachment, someone's hatred that causes them to wage war over people who up to this day, they were living a peaceful life, right? And then someone invades or someone terrorizes those people. All those things, these type of activities that we see around the world, they come from our afflictions. Therefore, it's very important to rely on this path that gives us a gradual way, stage by stage, to progress all the way to omniscience and eradicate all of this. So we keep talking about peace in this world, but the main question is, how do you establish peace? Is peace something that is achieved outside, or is peace something that is coming from inside? No one external to yourself can bring you peace. The only way that you can achieve peace is internally through your mind. So to give you an example, you could have a family of 5 people. And if one person amongst those 5, due to their past karma, they create trouble, they will be the one person, just one person, can cause so much dispute in the family. They can waste all the money and the wealth of the family and so forth. So peace does not, or lack of peace does not come from outside. It really comes from our own mind. And the thing is that the scientists, no matter how they investigate, they cannot actually offer a solution. They cannot give you a way of establishing peace. We keep praising the Buddhist teachings, and we say they are very important. Why are they very important? Are they important because they're taught by Buddha Shakyamuni? Are they important because they were elucidated by Master Nagarjuna and so forth? Are they important because the Buddha gave so many teachings, the 84,000 bundles of the teachings? No, this is not the reason. The reason why the Buddhist teachings are so important is because they give us a method of establishing peace by addressing this underlying condition of karma and afflictions, right? So it's very interesting, as we say, that there is so much discussion and there is so much investigation of from the scientific, Western scientific point of view, where they come and they analyze the brain, right? But analyzing the brain will never give you the full answer, because the main point is they don't recognize the role of karma. And even when they come and they investigate the brain of great meditators who have passed away and they are in Thupten meditation, this investigation is quite limited. They're just examining the brain, but the brain will not give you the answer of how do you actually transform the way that you think, how you transform your mind, how do you eliminate unruly negative states of mind and improve the mind itself. So Geshe was saying, I have quite a lot of experience of this discussion with Western scientists. They do come into the 3 monasteries quite a lot. And Geshe says, I have participated in these discussions. And the thing is, they all, usually they praise the monks and they say, oh, they have great intelligence. Yes, of course, the monks have great intelligence because we debate a lot. So with debate, your mind becomes sharper. But we had questions. We were discussing this case of, let's say you have 2 couples, or you have, 2 males, 2 females, and you have the optimum conditions for conceiving, let's say, the perfect child, or even conceiving a child. And you see that in one couple becomes pregnant, the other couple cannot conceive a child. And the underlying condition that explains that difference, when everything else is equal, is the karma that they have. Do they have the karma for a child, or they don't have the karma for a child? So if you don't address that issue of the karma, doesn't matter how much you do this external analysis of physical aspects, it doesn't help. So we all recite the verse for refuge and bodhicitta that says, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit that I accumulate by practicing generosity and the other perfections, may I reach the state of Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. We all recited. You recited, and Geshe says we Tibetans recited quite a lot. So, of course, the recitation is important because with this recitation, we practice Dharma through our speech. We know that we can practice Dharma with our body and with our speech and with our mind. Also, the same thing with negativity. We can create negativity with our body, our speech, our mind. So the recitation of a verse like this is practicing Dharma through your speech. although this is important, what is most important is to have an understanding of the meaning of those verses. It is said that it was Master Atisha who put together these verses, so that the origin of verse comes from him. So if we look at this, the first two lines are the lines of refuge, and the last two lines are the lines of bodhicitta. And they indicate a path that is superior to the wrong paths and a path that is superior to inferior paths. Okay, so first of all, we say, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So by saying the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, you identify the objects of refuge. So there are people who are not Buddhist. Obviously, they will not go for refuge to the three jewels, but we who are Buddhists will go for refuge to the three jewels. And these two lines also indicate the duration. So it says, I go for refuge until I am enlightened. So until myself in the future, I attain that state of Buddhahood that is characterized by the full development of all qualities, the eradication of all negativity. So until I reach that resultant state, I will go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. So these are the first two lines of refuge. Then we have the two lines of bodhicitta that they say, by means of practicing generosity and the other perfections. We know that in terms of bodhicitta, we have aspiring bodhicitta and engaging bodhicitta. In the case of engaging bodhicitta, you actually engage in the practice of the six perfections, like influenced by your intention to reach the state of Buddhahood for the sake of others. So it says, I do this with the ultimate aim of reaching the state of Buddhahood to benefit all sentient beings. So you can see here the vastness of the bodhicitta mind that includes everybody else. So it's important to be working for the benefit of others. We know that many times there is this very narrow-minded attitude that says, I will only take care of myself. The others, they can do what they like. But in terms of providing for my food, clothes, accommodation, I will just take care of myself. But the reality is that by taking care of the purpose or the well-being of others, you are indirectly establishing your own purpose, your own needs. So if we look again at the situation of a family, if you make sure that you take care of everyone in the family, then you will find yourself living in this environment where everything is harmonious, everything is prospering, everyone is well taken care of. So that is taking care of yourself because you find yourself in the best environment. Okay, so obviously we will talk about refuge and bodhicitta later on in a much more extensive way. But here, because we have that visualization of the field of merit, we go for refuge, so we needed to mention that briefly. Okay, so we keep saying that we must rely on a teacher. If we look at more extensive Lamrims, the way that this is presented is through two main outlines. The first one is how to properly rely on the teacher. And then the second outline is, having relied on the teacher, how you train your mind. So it's important to see that in the second outline, it says, first you rely on the teacher, and after you rely on the teacher, you train your mind. So why does it give this sequence of events? Because in order to meditate on something and do our training, first of all, we must receive these teachings, these instructions. So first the teacher teaches the different stages of the path. So they will teach the stages of the path of the individual of the small scope, then of the individual of the middle scope, and then they will teach all the stages of the path of the great scope, the 10 grounds and the 5 paths and so forth. And after we hear all these teachings and explanations, then we begin to meditate. So it is not enough to just rely on the teacher. What is very important is to also amass accumulation. Without amassing accumulation, we will not be successful in generating, cultivating the wisdom that we need to generate, but also all the other realizations such as great compassion, bodhicitta, and so forth. Actually, all the realizations along the path, they need to be supported by a certain amount of accumulation of merit. And therefore, to be successful, we need a very big accumulation, right? If we look at the example of producing abundant crop, it means that you actually have to take care of your land very well, the field, whatever field you have. You need fertilizer, you need water, you need, irrigation. You need to take care of the ground, of the land, in order to produce a good crop. So if you take that external example and you apply it internally, you will see that we need to engage in some practices that allow us to build up our accumulation. And these practices are the 6 preliminary practices. So we have started discussing those six. We have explained the first one, how to make the place beautiful by cleaning and so forth, and organizing or arranging representations of the Buddha's body, speech, and mind. The second one is how to present offerings that you have received without deception. And the third one is then, having done this, you sit down and through a virtuous state of mind, you go for effort and generate bodhicitta. So we are now discussing this third one. These practices are very important because, as we say, we need to generate wisdom. Wisdom can be used in different ways. You can have wisdom on how to cause harm, and you can have wisdom and knowledge and realization of how to establish good. Here we're interested in the second type of wisdom, and our wisdom should be influenced by compassion. So if we want that wisdom to be strong enough in order to become an antidote that will eliminate attachment, hatred, self-cherishing, self-grasping, and so forth, we need to have that accumulation of merit. Okay, so we are at the stage of the text where it says, arrange an altar having images of our teachers, the Buddhas, a stupa and a scripture, as well as pure offerings obtained without deceit. So this is the first and the second preliminary. And then it says, in front of your altar, prepare a comfortable meditation seat. Okay, so there you assume your seat. But the important thing to understand is that at the beginning of your session, when you sit down, you need to examine the state of your mind. If your mind is agitated due to attachment or hatred or whatever affliction, then it's very difficult to immediately put the mind, turn the mind towards a virtuous direction. So it is important to, first of all, put the mind into a neutral state. And what is the most beneficial technique for doing this is focusing on the breath. So the benefit of focusing on the breath these days is recognized by everyone. Everyone is teaching breathing techniques. So a lot of non-Buddhists, there are many workshops and everybody's talking about the breath these days. But it is something which is very important for us Dharma practitioners. Okay, so in a sense, there's nothing special about the breath itself, but it is the technique. And the technique is that once you're agitated and you are upset, you choose to focus on the breath and you're just counting 1, 2, 3 as you're breathing in and you're breathing out. And because you shift your attention to the breath, it has the effect of taking your mind away from your anger, from your attachment. So the mind becomes neutral state. And when it becomes neutral, then you can direct it towards something virtue. So this is something which is quite important for everyone. So it doesn't have to be just Dharma practitioners. In your family, could be your spouse, your children, a relative, whoever is upset, you could suggest that they sit down in a chair for 5 minutes and they just count the breath. And by counting the breath, focusing your attention on the breath, you will find that whatever anger or disturbance is there eventually will be pacified. In Tantra, we have this presentation there's quite a lot of practices about the breath, discussion about the breath. And they say that in the course of a day, 24 hours, we take 21,900 breaths, and these are like relaxed breaths. Obviously, if you're angry, you are breathing with a different rate, you are breathing faster, so you would have more breaths the more angry you are. And this type of exertion harms the channels and the winds within the body. Okay. The other thing that is important when we sit down to meditate is the physical posture. So in terms of the physical posture, the most important thing is that the body is straight. You're sitting with a straight body, because when your body is straight, it means that the channels within the body are also straight. And when the channels are straight, it means the winds and the drops are also circulating without obstacles, as they should be. Again, according to the presentation of Tantra, we have 72,000 channels within our body. And it remains to be seen if scientists can actually identify these channels. So far, they haven't found them. But in any case, in Tantra, we have this very important presentation about the channels, the winds, and the drops. These are crucial points to understand for our practice. Okay, so it continues by saying here, conjoin your mind with the motivation of thorough trust in the three jewels and generate bodhicitta through the refuge prayer and meditating on the four immeasurables. So as we say here, we're at the point where we visualize the field of merit. Our Lama, our Guru, is in that field of merit, and we go for refuge to that field of merit that has the Lama at the center. When we go for refuge, refuge should not be just a mere recitation of words. It should come with sincere faith. It should really come from the bottom of your heart. Okay, so we go for refuge, we generate bodhicitta, we engage the four immeasurables. So the four immeasurables is a verse that we always recite, saying, may all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the joy of higher rebirth and liberation. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and aversion, feeling close to some and distant from others. So going through this verse and contemplating its meaning is actually performing meditation. Sometimes we hear the term meditation and we expect it to be something else. Geshe was saying it's interesting because meditation is something which is so important, but it is not something concrete that you could say, oh, this is meditation. It's like, like a piece of stone or something concrete that you can carry away. It's very much like all the letters that we write, they come out of the tip of the pen, the tip of your pen, but you cannot see them in the pen, right? So meditation is like this, very important, but not solid. So the next thing is to generate the mind of bodhicitta. We recite the verse for that, or the whatever, the part of the text for that. And in some texts, we have an explanation that here this can involve a visualization with a descent of nectar. So as we say, we have visualized the teacher, our guru in front of us, and we visualize rays of light coming out from his heart, and they carry light and nectar to all sentient beings and also ourselves. And in this way, we receive the nectar, which symbolizes the blessing that we receive in order to generate that realization of bodhicitta. Another way of doing this is we can do it conjoined with the breathing. When we breathe out, we imagine that we breathe out all negativities and obscurations of myself and all other sentient beings. They come out in the aspect of blackness, something like coal, or black like smoke or something like this. They exit our body. And when we breathe in, we imagine that we breathe in white light that symbolizes bringing in the blessings of the body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So there are different variations and traditions for this. Okay, so you see here that after this, it begins by saying Om Svabhava, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. So we have mention here of a mantra. It's important to keep in mind that in Lam Rim Chenmo also, the traditional presentation is to first present the common or the shared training, and then at the very end, there is mention of the tantric training. And since the essence of refined gold is also a Lam Rim text, it does have some connection with Tantra. So we will find mantra mentioned here. This is why it begins with a Svabhava mantra that begins with the syllable Om. Okay, so let's explain what it means here. We're in the context of meditating on the merit field. And the main figure really there is the guru. We want to accumulate merit, and therefore what we want to do, whatever meditation we do in relation to the guru. So here, it's not a main meditation, like meditation on emptiness or meditation on impermanence and so forth. In the context of your Lam Rim practice, the main meditation is meditation on the guru, because this is how you accumulate your merit. This is how you purify your negativity and so forth. So in front of me, I have the field of accumulation, and the main figure here is my guru. And here I am meditating on all this. So I, the meditator. So the important thing is to establish where is this I, this me, because this is something that we talk about all the time. I come, I go, I drive the car, I this, I that, I the other. Okay, so we need to have an understanding of what is this I. So here I am the meditator. I have body, speech, and mind. And actually these are represented in the syllable Om. The syllable Om is written with 2 letters, but actually it includes 3 letters, right? The letter A, the letter U, and the letter M. So the M is the one that is usually depicted as a circle. Okay, so we are looking here at the finest view, which is the middle way consequence school view, and this is also the view that is applied when we practice Tantra. So we're looking at myself, me, the meditator. Where is my I? Is there an I that exists within my body? Is there an I that exists outside of my body, my speech, or my mind? The more I look for it, I cannot find it. So it is not found upon investigation. Therefore, I conclude that this I is something which is merely imputed by the mind. Okay, so that's the understanding that we must have here. Okay, so you can see in terms of our practice, the Om appears at the beginning of all the mantras, but also we find the use of Om in non-Buddhist traditions. So, for example, in the Hindu tradition, there is a lot of use of Om. It is seen as representing Lord Brahma and a symbol of Ishvara as well. So you can see here, we only have the beginning of the mantra. It says Om Svabhava, and then we have ellipses, 3 dots. So obviously they are abbreviating the mantra here. The whole mantra is Om Svabhava, Shuddha Sarvadhamma Svabhava Shuddhaham. So the meaning of the mantra might be a bit difficult when you hear it, but it's important that we hear those things and place imprints, because even if something is difficult, we have to start somewhere, place imprints, and then little by little progress or improve. Because if we don't even make that effort, obviously there's no hope of generating the realization. So we say at the beginning of the mantra, we have the syllable Om. And that syllable Om, we just explain, that represents the body, the speech, and mind of myself, the meditator. The next word is Svabhava, and Svabhava means nature. Then we have Suddha, and Suddha here talks about the purity. Okay, so we need to understand, we say that I have a body, a speech, a mind. They become the things that represent me. They are the basis upon which I impute this idea of I or me. Okay, and then it talks about Sarva Dharma. Sarva means all, and Dharma here means all phenomena. Pseudoham. So that is the nature of all phenomena as well. So first of all, I'm looking at my own nature, and I say, just as the way that I exist, the nature of the I is that it is something that is empty of inherent existence, because it is something that is merely imputed upon my body, my speech, and the mind. Similarly, this is true for all phenomena. All phenomena here means everything, the good, the bad, everything that exists, similarly has the same nature of being merely imputed, just as I am merely imputed upon my body, my speech, and my mind. Okay, so after the mantra, it says, okay, Om Svabhava, and then 3 dots, and says all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. So here we're referring to the middle way consequence view, which is also the view of emptiness that we rely upon when we practice secret mantra. So when it says the phenomena are empty, they are empty of existing truly, they are empty of existing inherently, they are empty of existing from their own side. So when we say they are empty of the object of negation. So it is not the same use of the word empty as when we say my cup is empty, right? So empty here means that the object of negation is not there. So the way that this is described is that phenomena are like an illusion, or phenomena are like a reflection of the face in the mirror. So let's start with the mirror, and then we look at the illusion. In the case of your face being reflected in the mirror, when you look in the mirror, you can see the appearance of your face on the mirror, but it appears to be there, but in reality, your face is not over there, isn't it? So it appears in this way, in one particular way, but it does not exist the way it appears. The same thing is applied to the example of the illusion. In the case of the illusion, like traditionally how it was done in India, is you would have an illusionist who would have a substance, a particular substance. He would put a spell, say some mantras or whatever on that substance, and then he would release that substance, and that substance would affect the audience. And the audience being affected by this substance, they would start seeing elephants and horses and so forth, imaginary animals in the space in front of them. The illusionist who creates this illusion is also affected by the substance. So he also sees the elephants and the horses, but he knows that these animals do not really exist. They appear, but they do not really exist. He knows that for sure because he has been working on his magic tricks, isn't it? He knows it's a created illusion. So these are examples to help us understand that all phenomena appear to exist in a particular way. However, in reality, they do not exist in this way. What happens in our case, we see the way that they appear, then we grasp at this as being really how it is. So we grasp at true existence. And due to that, we go through the whole series of the 12 links, and this is how we go around in cyclic existence. So the important thing to understand here is that the way that phenomena actually exist is not the way that they appear. So we have this Svabhava mantra, and then it says, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence. And then it says, from within the state of emptiness in the sky before me. Okay, so remember, what is the main thing that we want to do here? The main thing is we want to meditate on our root guru. We want to visualize the entire field of accumulation. So visualize here indicates we want to make it appear in our mind. This is what the visualization is. Make it appear into your mind. So why is it that we want to meditate and visualize on our kind guru? And why do we keep referring to the guru as the root guru, the main guru, the kind guru, and so forth? Well, there might be many teachers, right? But we have the good fortune to have met this one teacher who is taking care of us. So this teacher will take care of us in this life, in future lives, will take us all the way to enlightenment by working on our mind, improving our minds, removing our negativities and our obscurations. Buddha Shakyamuni came into this earth. The great masters and panditas such as Nagarjuna and so forth, they appeared in India. Great meditators and saints appeared in Tibet, such as Lama Tsongkhapa and his two disciples and their disciples and so forth. All of them have appeared into this earth, but we did not have the karma and the connection and the good fortune to meet with them when they were alive and when they were giving teachings. But we have the good fortune to have connection with this guru in this life. And by receiving the teachings of this guru, we become indirect disciples of Buddha Shakyamuni and all the great masters that have come before us, that we didn't have the opportunity to meet directly. Okay, so as it says here, this visualization is established from within the state of emptiness. So what does it mean, from within the state of emptiness? So we started by reciting the Om Svabhava mantra. And we said that the syllable Om at the beginning really represents the body, speech, and mind of me, myself, the meditator. So we, through reciting this mantra and contemplating the meaning, we generate within our mind an understanding of emptiness. So we have to generate this pristine wisdom of bliss and emptiness. Then from this pristine wisdom of bliss and emptiness, we can establish everything. Especially in Tantra, we say that everything, like the palace of the deity, all the deities are established from this pristine wisdom of bliss and emptiness. In this case, from our understanding of emptiness, we will establish the visualization of our guru and all the merit field. So again, Geshe was saying, it's not easy, it's not simple, but we have to start from somewhere with these issues. We have to understand those things. Okay, so what happens here, it is this realization of emptiness that we have appears in the aspect of a form, in the aspect of a form body, in the aspect of the body of the guru, and so forth. In Tantra, this realization of emptiness appears in the aspect of the form or the bodies of the deities. And then by meditating on those deities, we also accumulate, we understand the emptiness of those deity bodies. And in this way, we have a vast accumulation of both merit and wisdom. So this is a unique feature of Buddhist Tantra. So you begin by having a realization of emptiness, and then you cause that realization of emptiness to appear in a particular aspect, in the aspect of a deity. And that allows you, when you meditate in this way, it allows you to amass both accumulations, merit and wisdom, but in a substantial way, like very big amounts of that. Otherwise, we do have, like in Tantra, we have a lot of visualizations about channels and drops and winds and so forth. These are not exclusive to Buddhists. Non-Buddhists, such as, for example, Hindu practitioners, also do these type of visualizations and practices in their own Tantra, right? And a lot of them are very, very skilled, very advanced in this. But what is different is that they have a particular philosophy, particular idea about the self. They meditate on a self who has a nature other than the aggregates, is separate than the aggregates, and they meditate in this way, in a self that is separate, and then they do all those practices with channels and winds and so forth. They do not have that unique feature of Buddhist Tantra, where we say we meditate on emptiness, and that realization of emptiness then is meditated as a deity, and that allows us to amass the two accumulations. So that's a unique feature. Okay, so now from within the state of emptiness, we are going to establish this visualization. So we have one guru or many gurus, a lot of an entire field of merit here, and there are many different systems to visualize this. You can visualize them in front of you, you can visualize them like in a group formation, you can visualize them stacked, you can visualize them on the top of your head, you can visualize them at the center of your heart. There are variations here. So here, the important thing, especially for us beginners, when we do this Lam Rim meditation, is that we focus on the guru. That is the main thing we focus upon, because we say in terms of kindness, his kindness is more than the kindness of the Buddha himself. Although in terms of qualities, there's no difference between them. In terms of kindness, he is more kind than the Buddha. So we just focus on the Lama, on the Guru. So as we say, there are many variations and many different traditions. However, for beginners, what is the most beneficial way to meditate is to see if we have many teachers, and there are many objects of refuge here, but we see one who is the central figure, who is our own root guru, as being the figure that encompasses all others. So we see all others as being the same in nature with our root guru. Okay, so we meditate. This is the easiest way to meditate for us as beginners. The other important thing here when we do Lam Rim meditation is that we must visualize our root guru with whatever defects, physical or whatever features he or she actually has. So if, as we say, the guru, let's say, has feet that are not straight, right? A little bit bent feet and so forth. This is how you visualize. If the guru speaks English, you see them speaking English. If they speak Chinese, you see them speaking Chinese, and so forth. You don't try to change or amend any of these features. The reason for that is twofold. One is that actually, as we receive teachings from this teacher, we have this everyday interaction. So sometimes you will travel with your teacher, sometimes you eat together with the teacher, you go to the teachings when the teacher is giving the teachings, isn't it? So you see that ordinary aspect of the teacher. But we have to work on this point, on this ordinary aspect, this ordinary appearance, that they, although in reality they are a Buddha, they manifest this ordinary aspect in order to, for me, to be able to interact with them, to benefit me. So this ordinary aspect, again, is just another feature of their Buddhahood, of their great quality. So we have to meditate on this thing with the ordinary aspect until we generate the realization that the Guru is really the Buddha. Okay, when we do tantric meditation, it's completely different. In tantric meditation, we mentally, it's like you go with Photoshop, whatever little fault or shortcoming the guru has, you have to go there and eradicate it, so that the vision of your guru has to be perfect. Like you meditate on the guru as being the deity, like Guya Samaja, like a perfect body, everything perfect. Okay, but that's a different thing that we do in Tantra. Here in Lam Rim, you have to meditate on the ordinary aspect. Okay, so from within the state of emptiness, in the sky before me is a vast and expansive jeweled throne being held aloft by 8 mighty snow lions, upon which is a variegated lotus and moon disk. So now we have to start establishing the visualization, starting with the seat. And the seat is this very big throne. All right, so Geshe was indicating behind him, you can actually see a throne supported by the 8 lions. It has to be quite large, and it is jeweled. it is quite important to visualize those jewels. It's not that the Buddhas or the Bodhisattvas, they need the gold and the jewels to sit upon. It's from our side, in order to accumulate merit, it's quite important that we make this throne or the seat out of all those precious materials. So, all right, so we have the throne that is supported by the snow lions, upon which is a variegated lotus and moon disk. So the variegated lotus represents renunciation, and the moon disk represents bodhicitta. Usually we have mention of the three-tier seat made out of lotus, the sun disk and the moon disk, and these represent the three principal aspects of the path. But here we only have two. Okay, so seated upon it in the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni, who is inseparable from your Lama, who teaches you the path. So the central figure here is my own root guru. So this is the nature of that figure. However, he takes the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni. So he takes the aspect of a fully ordained monk dressed in robes and holding the begging bowl. He teaches the path, meaning he teaches you whatever subject matter you are studying. In this case, he is teaching Lam Rim, in particular the essence of refined gold, which consolidates the 84,000 bundles of teachings. So in terms of the aspect of the guru, we say it takes the aspect of Guru Shakyamuni, so an ordained monk. And the other detail is that you visualize the guru smiling at you. He's pleased with you and he's smiling at you. Okay, so don't be confused here, because we say the nature of that central figure is your own root guru. And again, we have said that even though you might have many gurus, we see that the root guru incorporates or consolidates the nature of all these other gurus. But in aspect, he appears as Buddha Shakyamuni. So to give you an example how one person can appear in many different aspects, just think of an actor. Right. So here, like in one occasion, they are dressed like a pilot, an airplane pilot. In another case, in another movie, they are dressed like a policeman. In another movie, they are dressed up like something else. Right. So it is one person, but they can have different aspects depending on the clothes or the uniform that they wear and so forth. Okay. Also, in terms of, we know the Buddha manifests in different aspects. The Buddha manifests as Manjushri. It manifests as Chenrezig. It manifests as Tara, right? So one entity having many aspects. Okay, so we know who the central figure is in this visualization. It's in nature our own root guru, but he has the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni. And then all right, to his right are the lamas of the lineage of vast conduct, and to his left, the lineage of profound view. And then there are many more figures around them. So it's as if you're visualizing, like it's a great assembly, almost like a mandala. And at the very center, you have your guru in the aspect of Buddha Shakyamuni. To his right, you will visualize the whole lineage, all the figures of the lineage of the vast contact. So this is the lineage of contact, starting with Protector Maitreya, then going down to Asanga, and eventually going down to Lama Serlimpa and Lama Atisha. Then to his left, we have the lineage of profound view, starting with Manjushri, Master Nagarjuna, Vidya Kokila, again, Serlimpa, Master Chandrakirti, Serlimpa, down to Master Atisha, and so forth. So there are many, many figures, many lamas there. They are surrounding them are Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, hearers, solitary realizers of the 10 directions, and the notion of Dakas, Dakinis, and Dharma protectors. Okay, so we have visualized them, but after we visualize them, we must also invite them. Okay, so why do we go through this step of inviting them to come? Now, the thing is that let's say, we visualize the Buddha, or whatever figure it is, and we do some practice. Let's say we prostrate. But then in the back of your mind, you have this doubt and say, okay, I visualize them, but are they really here? Who am I prostrating to? Now, because to overcome this doubt, we send out the invitation and we say, please come here. So in reality, the Buddhas are everywhere. However, due to our karma and afflictions, we cannot directly meet them. So to overcome the doubt that we have that perhaps they are not here, they're not present in my room in front of me, for that reason, we make the invitation. So it says here, invite them to abide by reciting. Although the completely pure, ultimate nature of all phenomena is unfluctuating, with immeasurable compassion, you see all migrators in the 10 directions. Propounding with the enlightened activities of all the conquerors, lamas of the 3 times, together with your entourages, please come here and protect all sentient beings without exception. Okay, so after that, it says an exceedingly fragrant bathhouse means that you and all sentient beings should perform a bath offering ablution, clothing, and ornaments to the Buddha, requesting that the Merrifield should abide as explained in Shantideva's Bodhisattva's Ways of Life. All right, so here we visualize a bathing house and we go through the process of offering a bath to the guru. If your guru is actually present, then you have the opportunity to offer a bath, offer towels, offer, perfumes and so forth, anoint the body and so forth. However, if the Lama is not physically present, you can visualize and offer the bath. So this is a whole ceremony. It includes offering the bath and then drying the bodies and then anointing the bodies with perfume, offering new set of clothes and so forth. And then we make different types of offerings. Now, in terms of offerings, we have mundane and supramundane, or surpassable and unsurpassable offerings. So in terms of surpassable or ordinary offerings, there are 12 types mentioned. And it refers to these substances that we usually arrange. So, for example, you could have fruit, you could have flowers, you could have perfume, things like this. These are the things that we usually arrange. And material offerings. And then we have the unsurpassable offerings that are visualized offerings. Okay, so as it says here, you should perform a bath offering ablution, clothing, and ornaments to the Buddha. So we don't just wash the body, but also we offer a new set of clothes. We offer ornaments, so different jewels, different type of jewelry, and so forth. And we request that the merit field should abide, as explained in Shantideva's Bodhisattva's Ways of Life. So it's in the 2nd chapter of Bodhisattva's Ways of Life that we have this presentation of surpassable and unsurpassable offerings. So once again, the reason why we go through this visualization is not that the guru needs to be washed, it's not that the guru is unclean or doesn't have clothes and so forth, but we do those things for our sake, for our benefit, because it's an opportunity for us to accumulate merit. Okay, so where are we? Okay, then it says the essential points of purification and accumulation are summarized in the 7 limb practice, commencing with all the conquerors assemble with a single Buddha and so forth. Okay, so the next thing is we need to amass the accumulation. Here it refers to both types of accumulation of merit and pristine wisdom, and then work on our purification. So purification refers to all the negativities and obscurations we have created due to attachment, hatred, and all other afflictions. So there is one practice that is extremely beneficial, both in terms of accumulation and purification. And this is the 7-limb prayer. So the 7-limb prayer is a means for ordinary beings as well as bodhisattvas to work on their accumulation and purification in terms of body, speech, and mind. But of course, the main thing is the attitude of the mind, because whatever physical or verbal activities we do, it depends on the mind. These 7 limbs of the 7-limb prayer are presented in Samantabhadra prayer, the king of prayers. So it begins with prostrations, making offerings, confessing negativity, rejoicing in virtue, requesting to turn the wheel of Dharma, requesting not to pass into paranirvana, and making a dedication. Okay, so let's stop here for the presentation. Let's see if we have questions.
Thank you, Geshe, for your teachings. Geshe, I have a question to ask about root guru. Earlier, when Geshe mentioned about root guru, what I have what I have in mind is what really qualify for a root guru, right? Is it because I heard a lot of people saying that his root guru is so and so, this Rinpoche, that Rinpoche. But the problem is this person may not even met that Rinpoche before, or may not even met that person before. So this is one of them. And is it how we identify a root guru? Is it because of connection with that person? In Singapore, it's very seldom that we have connection to even run errands for the guru. It's very seldom we have that chances. Or is it because of kindness? Because they teach the Dharma? Because well, there are a lot of Dharma centers that teaches the Dharma. So how do we actually select that based on that? Or, could a guru be from different lineages, for example? So if Geshe can explain more on that.
Okay, so very good question, and thank you for asking this, because it is quite an important thing. So when we started this subject of how to properly rely on the teacher, we talked about what makes a fully qualified teacher. So we looked at the Ornament of Sutras that gives us a list of 10 qualities that a teacher should have. And there are also qualities from the side of the student that are necessary. Okay, so the important thing is that, as you say, there are many lamas around, and there are many people who teach Dharma. So it is our responsibility to actually examine if any of these lamas has the full list of 10 qualities. If you find someone with those 10 qualities, hold on, because that is a very rare teacher. Having said we should examine to make sure that they have qualities, obviously there are some things that are very difficult to ascertain. So, for example, within that list of 10 qualities, it says that the teacher should have realization of emptiness. How are we going to examine or understand how much realization of emptiness the teacher has, or that the teacher must have compassion? So how are we going to know if the teacher has compassion or not? So although we have the list of 10 qualities and we should examine, nevertheless, it's not easy to ascertain, tick do they really have every item in the list or not? But we must really examine and spend a few months, if not more, if not years, going to the teachings without saying, this is my root guru. Go to the teachings, but as you are attending those teachings, you examine. Many times we see examples of teachers who are teaching in the wrong way. They're teaching with pride. They actually they indicate pride, or they're teaching for money. If you see anything like this, excuse yourself and say, I'm sorry, but this is not my teacher. You can attend the teachings, but this is not, you don't see that person as your root guru. Okay, so in practical terms, when we do this meditation, because it says here you establish the field of accumulation, and in the central figure has the nature of your kind root guru. Who can we visualize there if we are not sure about ordinary mundane gurus? Definitely you can visualize, let's say, Lama Atisha, or you can visualize Je Rinpoche, Lama Tsongkhapa. These are definitely, they have all the qualities. There's no doubt about this. And they have all the realizations. So they can be the main root guru for you in that visualization. But then again, the texts say that you should visualize, the main feature as encompassing all the other figures, but this teacher is the teacher who is actually teaching you. So Geshe was saying, okay, here we are receiving teachings on the essence of refined gold. So Geshe was saying, I can see here 3 lineages coming together. Obviously, one is the lineage of the author of the text, which is the conqueror Sonam Gyatso. Then you have the lineage of Geshe himself, who is the lineage that comes from India. And finally, you have the lineage of the translator, because you don't understand Tibetan. You have to rely on me. So anyway, we were laughing when Geshe said that about the translator. But you can see that you can come up with a figure that includes, like, okay, whatever you are studying, what is the author of the text, or what is the person who is actually explaining, and whoever is translating it for you, just have this nature.
Thank you, Geshe, for your teaching. Earlier you mentioned that the variegated lotus, Sundis, Mundis, represents 3 principal aspects of the path. But why is it that the Sundis is missing in the...
Okay, so Geshe was saying, look, it's not specific that we must have all 3 as a seed. And you will see many variations in different deities. Some deities have lotus and sun. Some deities have lotus and moon. It's not always that you get all 3 elements. So it's not necessary that you have all 3. And they're, depending on the practice, there are different visualizations and different interpretations of those symbolisms, on those elements of the seed of the deity. Okay, so in any case, Geshe was saying, just to summarize here, we should always engage the practice of the Lam Rim and be happy that we are doing this. It is, of course, many times our mind is upset. Many times we will be unhappy. Our bodies are comprised of many different elements, and it's not always the case that the elements are in harmony. Often the elements are imbalanced. So when the elements are out of balance, then our mind also becomes affected and we feel unhappy. If that is the case, if you're feeling unhappy for whatever reason, always compare yourself to others. Like, the world is full of unhappy people. Right? There are very few people who are happy and contented. But just compare yourself to others and say, I'm very lucky. I live in a peaceful country. I don't live in a war zone. Even that is a great advantage. And actually, I have everything I need. I have food, I have clothes, I have a place to live. I'm doing fine, right? So just whatever problem I have right now, whatever is making me unhappy compared to other people's situation, is just a small thing. I'm very happy. I have the opportunity to practice the Lam Rim. So just think this way.